This episode may contain strong language and adult themes. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good whatever it may well be for you, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. It is the 22 Dropouts. Hey! It's more like the Muppet Show than Question the Sport, but you know that already. And if you don't know that already, make sure you check us out on our social media pages, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Just search for @22 Dropouts. Now, tonight we might have some of the 22 dropping in and out. Mainly because everybody's decided they need to work tonight. Tom has got a strength and conditioning session on a Monday night. We've had such a giggle on the group chat about that. And Chris is being taught how to be a dance teacher. More on that next time we see him, because there's going to be so many stories and I want videos.
Oh, there's a ribbon coming in.
I want videos. And the dulcet tones in the background there are, of course, from Sam in Malta. How are you doing, mate?
Aye, good mate, good. Not too bad, not too bad. There's definitely going to be a ribbon on Chris there, as long as he's wearing his Mr. T. Chris the Fool.
Yeah, Lawrence, how's you, mate?
Wagwan. I'm Irish.
Yeah, Jumbo Buana, Jumbo. Yeah, we're doing it in Swahili now, didn't I tell you, Sam?
Aye,
What Zoom has forgotten to tell me. So my Zoom, I've gone to move the camera around and it's come up with a brand new feature that I didn't know of. So when this comes out of post-production, if it looks shit, it's not my fault, it's Zoom's fault. But we are now going to be joined as well by a guy with a dodgy accent because he lives in Sweden. He is their referee manager, has been now since 2009, probably because they can't find anybody else. It's Julian Bevan. How are you doing, Jules?
I'm doing great, thank you. And yeah, the accent is still a little bit Welsh, not completely Swedish yet, even though I've got the passport now.
Did you used to do refereing when you were in Wales then, or is this something you started when you were over there?
No, I played for Penturk Rugby Club when I was back in Wales. And I then moved over to Sweden in 2001, started playing for a club there and broke my hip and got recruited as a referee while I was in the pub on crutches. Believe it or not.
We've all got a reason that we started rugby. Half of us, if we're old and we start, it's usually through injury, and if we're young, it's because they're just shit rugby players. So as you see these guys coming through, you know. That's how it works. It's like that over in Kenya, isn't it, Lawrence?
No, just because you are a shit player, don't think everyone was a shit player.
Well said,
sure?
Mate, well said.
Julian, I'm really glad that you could make it tonight, and we didn't even have to set an alarm call for you. Not like when you go to Vegas or you're at the Warsaw Tent. What is it about you having? What is it about you having alarm calls, mate?
Well, we have a number of regulars who come along to the Warsaw Rugby Festival every year. And one of our regulars is a bit of a practical joker. And he has a wonderful habit of, when he gets back from the pub or nightclub in the evening on the Friday or the Saturday, to set wake-up calls for everybody, the referee team, especially Sam, who loves getting wake-up calls from a certain Yorkshire referee.
Sam, do you like getting wake-up calls?
I can honestly say I've heard that sort of language, since I was back in Wales.
Yeah.
I thought there was going to be some other story there about you getting caught. You're getting caught out on the walk of shame with an alarm call. So no. I'm glad it's actually something a lot more innocent than I was thinking.
Well, the fun part was when we came back on a Saturday night, and our colleague, I won't name him in case he gets in trouble for it. He set a wake-up call for one of the guys' rooms, and I was with him when he did it. And as we walk off to the lift to go up towards our rooms, he gets into the lift. I take one look at him as the lift doors are shutting. And I said to him, "You do know that wasn't one of our rooms, right?" morning after, we're at the ground, and one of the elderly gentlemen from Belfast, from the Belfast club who were playing at the Warsaw Rugby Festival last year, came up swearing about how he got his wake-up call at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I politely asked him, "Were you in room 405?" He went, "Yes." "Why?" And then we pointed at the person who set him up. I've never seen an old man chase a referee so fast. He was ready to kill him.
Now, there is one thing wrong with that story, and Sam must have told you what it's like on here. You have to name names.
Well, it was Mr. Pete Stenderford, of course. And a few people know what a practical joker he is. And he's a Yorkshire lad, runs a pub up north.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. So now we've got straight into that mode. I suppose we better talk a little bit about rugby. So I can't see that many people have come across the Swedish Premiership on their BT Sport account. So tell us what rugby's like over there, and in particular, what refereeing's like.
Well, we've got 3 divisions running in Sweden at the moment. They're quite small. We've usually got about 6 teams in each division. It's regionalised a bit because it's quite a big country, and there's not as much rugby in certain regions, so we do have to travel a lot. I still hear people complaining back home about a long journey for 1 hour to get to an away game, whereas anything under 4 hours for me is a home game, travelling in one direction. So it's a lot of travelling for the referees. The standard of rugby's at the top level is okay. It's not bad at all. And then we get more development leagues as we go down the tier. And there's a women's top division as well currently running. This year is a little bit different because of the pandemic problems, but we'll still be getting games going now. We started quite late.
That's brilliant.
Teams that don't want to play, but understandably, because they've got a lot of medical staff in their teams as well. And it's been pretty good. So we're coming into our semi-finals now next weekend.
I was just about to say there, Jules, have you lost weight, mate, or you've got shoulder pads on? Because that is fucking huge.
It's bloody jersey that's got too big for me. That's all it is. It's a new one.
It's not too big. It's one of the ones where it hooks around here, which means it rises up above your belly.
I should have got bigger tits like my Sam used to have. No, I thought I had to put the blue shirt on this weekend with all the antics in the top 14 or 12 or whatever it is these days.
Yeah.
And Cardiff actually won, which I was quite shocked about.
Julian, if you had to say to people what the standard of rugby was like, or compare it to perhaps Wales, England, or whatever, what would you say it compares to?
Our top division could be anything between like a level 8 or a level 6 game, depending on what players were available, because they're all amateurs. People have work. People can't always make it, can't always travel due to family stuff. So anything between level 8 and level 6 on its best and worst days. The divisions below it, you're looking at level 10 games probably for most of it. The women's games are actually pretty good. They're very disciplined. The Sweden women have played in the World Cup before. And there's still 1 or 2 players left, I think, who played in that World Cup who are playing in the top divisions right now. Not many of them left now, though, because they're getting a bit old now. It was quite a while ago.
So is it mainly locals or expats? Who plays the game over there?
A lot of locals with a mix of expats in there. Some of the top teams have a lot of a fair few Georgian players in there as well, who've come to work in Sweden at the same as well. There's a few guys who've come over right now because they couldn't get any rugby in the UK who play National One, who are playing in some of the top.
Okay.
The Swedes have a bit of a football history though, so they can be a little bit lippy on the pitch. We do have to deal with
welcome to rugby in the 21st century, I think.
Yes, I think it's inherent of the whole game worldwide at amateur level that people talk a bit more than we used to probably back in our day, where you get punched in the face and the referee just says stop that, boys, and you get on with it.
If he punches you once more, I'm sending you off because you're doing something to wind him up.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I've never been told that in my life, honest, and I've never lied on the internet.
In terms of how your referee development, then, talk to us a little bit more about that. How many referees have you got? What's their dynamic and mixture? And how do you give them those other opportunities outside of, in your words, the level 6 to 8? How do you get them to develop further?
The problem we have is it's a big country and it's a very short season. So it's very hard to get regular games for people. So we do have to travel overseas a lot in the off season. So it's quite a nice setup in that we've worked very hard to set up a coaching environment. So we have referee coaches available. We do all the World Rugby courses. I'm an educator, trainer myself. We've got another referee educator. We work closely with Denmark and Norway and Finland for training and development. And recruitment-wise, we try and rely on the clubs to send us people. And we run junior level courses, which are just a couple of hours to train people to do the under-10s and the under-12s games. And then when they step into under-14s, they have to do their World Rugby Level 1, which is like the ELRA, I think it used to be called in England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably got a new name this week as well.
Yeah. And they start then on the senior level. We usually start people out on touch and then have a coach go and watch them when they start doing their first games and then let them develop at their own pace from there. This year, we've had actually this COVID has actually given us a big advantage, and we're getting a lot more video of people because we can't have public at grounds. So the clubs are actually recording all their games and putting them up on YouTube for us. So I think I've done more referee analysis this season than I have in the last 2 years. It's been fantastic.
And this is it, isn't it? You've got to be able to invest, but investing in that, you've got fairly spread out games. You've got a number of guys out there. If you want all those games recorded, you've either got to provide the resources, provide people as well to go and video them, or you have to rely on the club. And will they do it? Can they do it?
You say that we've got a way around the providing people to do it in that I bought one of these solo shot cameras, which actually follow the referee. So you stick a tag on the referee and it follows him around. The only downside to that is if I stick the tag on somebody who's a bit slow, you don't see any of the match.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're not up with play, there isn't going to be much to look at if the camera's still 25 yards behind play with the referee.
So maybe sticking that camera on somebody's arm and making it follow them around is a bit of an incentive. If you don't run them quickly, you're not going to get. Nobody's going to get to see the game.
Yeah, I can just imagine that game, and you log onto YouTube to watch this week's game for your favourite team, and all you see is the backside of a referee puffing and panting, and absolutely zero play apart from the kickoffs.
The worst thing is when the kickoffs have gone, we've actually had a couple of incidents now where things have gone up in the air and taken out in the air, and the ref's still trying to get there, so we've missed it on the camera.
Maybe what you need to do is put one inside the ball as well and have 2 cameras.
Yeah, that might work, but it's a GPS tracker, so it might not get through the plastic.
Yeah.
Well, there is a company, isn't there, Sam, that does this, that tracks and plots the ball movement now and can work with guys. I think they've been working with Gilbert as well, and they do it for passing and kicking and all sorts of things to find the sweet spot of the kicks. And
there's
great technology they can use.
They're based in Copenhagen, and they've been talking to me. They wanted to do a demo of their video equipment as well. Problem then is you pay a subscription fee every month, and it costs quite a lot. Video, because they do a full 180 video of the whole game, and then they pull out the bits you need and do all the editing for you. So it's really high tech the way they do it, but it does cost a lot of money. Whereas the solo
that's the problem again in an amateur sport, isn't it?
Yeah, the camera I got a couple of thousand Swedish crowns, so 200 euros. Got one second hand.
When you talk about then referees going overseas to get more development, obviously they're following your footsteps with your posse wake-up calls in Warsaw and Vegas. But apart from those fun competitions, where else do you?
Don't mention Vegas. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's not what Sam said earlier. Sam said he's got some little treats for us about Vegas, and he's given us a few little pointers to ask you later.
Oh dear. Not in Vegas anymore, though, is it? It's in LA now. They've moved it.
Yeah.
Sad, really, isn't it? Very sad. Yeah. Never mind. So what do you do then, away from the fun stuff, going to Vegas or LA and these other competitions? How do you actually develop those referees and in the 15-a-side game? Because that is, for many people, it's easy to send people away on sevens tournaments, and of course they get a lot of good coaching on sevens tournaments and 10s and things over a short period of time. But it's then that developing back into 15s and being able to move outside of the borders, really.
Yeah, well, our youngsters, a few of us have been working, because when I started, it was off you go, get on the pitch, and away you go. And I had my first 3 years of refereeing. I was terrible. I was absolutely disgraceful on the pitch. I was a mess, didn't know what I was doing, out of position all the time. And then I had a referee coach come along and watch me. And after that, I was sold from that second on referee coaching. So I worked very hard after that on developing referee coaching in Sweden and the whole of Scandinavia, and pushing it to try and
Brilliant.
be able to develop our own referees ourselves with help from outside, absolutely, but we could self-sustain and do everything else. So I've been pushing that for years now, and now we've got a good team of referee coaches based all over Scandinavia, referee educators based all over Scandinavia, all working together, all helping each other. Even Sam's come up and done a CFO course over in Sweden when he needed to do it, and he was very good, I've got to say. I would love to have slagged him off on this about it, but he was actually pretty good.
No, carry on, slag him off. We don't mind. We don't care if it's truthful.
We'll talk about what he got far after.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, listen, we're going to take a very short break, but we'll be back with you right after this.
So here we are trialling the Active Sport 250 open ear headset. It's really useful because they don't actually go in your ear, they just rest on the outside, so you can still hear your surroundings. So if you're out on the jog, you can hear any cars coming past. If you're out on the canal, you can hear any cyclists. It's really useful if you're with people. You know, if you want to listen to music, listen back to what you've recorded, you can still listen to other people's input while you've got what's happening played. They're really comfortable, you know, they're really sturdy, really designed. They don't move while you're running, they don't bounce up and down like other wireless headsets do. So yeah, they're really good in that sense.
Welcome back to the 22 Dropouts, and we're here tonight. Oh, God, that sounds really fucking cheesy, doesn't it? Anyway, look, it's this lot. And Julian's down there, and Sam's there, and Lawrence is over there as well. And James might come and join us when his boss has finished nagging him on the phone. So what's been happening in rugby this week? Well, Wasps got a fantastic win over Exeter. Of course, they'd said they put out their under-12s against Wasps. But, you know, nilling Exeter after 56 minutes, or for 56 minutes, was quite an achievement. So well done, guys. That means that Exeter and Wasps are definitely confirmed with the two home semi-finals in the Premiership. Now, it's semi-finals time for you as well, isn't it, Julian?
Yep, we've got them coming up in Sweden. So we've got, there's only been 4 teams playing in our top division this year because of COVID. A few of the teams have dropped out, so they've all made it through, surprisingly. So now we've got.
It sounds like one of these primary schools where everybody's a winner.
Yeah, basically everyone gets a sort of participation medal this year. Yeah. But we got the local derby in Stockholm this weekend coming up, and then Enköping are playing Norrköping down in Norrköping, which will be a good game there. I think it'll be very tight. It was close last time.
At that level, in your semis and your finals, I take it. In fact, do you put a team of 3 out all the time or not?
We try to, especially on the semi-finals and finals. Right now, we're a little bit restricted on numbers, sicknesses, illnesses, people can't travel, this sort of thing. So we're a bit short on numbers right now. So we might have a team of 2 instead of 3. So I'm going to try and send all the radio gear out with the guys so they can at least make use of it and get some input from the sidelines. See who can we get out? We can get that. I'm refereeing the women's semi-final myself this weekend.
Well, I think they shouldn't be on YouTube. We should send BT Sport over there or Sky, because Sky got fuck all else to do, haven't they? I mean, you know, when was the last time you saw a rugby game on Sky?
I reckon that we should get Julian to actually wear the solo shot armband so he tracks them for refereeing.
No. It's going to be one-way traffic. Actually, no. One-way traffic in that game, but don't put that online.
Too late, mate. This is live.
Okay, no, we've got one of the teams, basically Stockholm Exiles ladies have decided, because they've got so many medical staff and people who are in high-risk jobs, they've decided not to play this season, and they're the Swedish champions as well. And
that's fair enough, though, isn't it?
A few of their players wanted to play, so they've actually started playing for Enköping for this season. So basically, Enköping have basically got the Swedish 7 side, or most of it, all in one team, and then some forwards. But they won their last game against the second place 115-0.
Hey, that sounds a bit like Wasps against Exeter at the beginning of the game.
Doesn't it?
Anyway, what else happened at the weekend? Well, Sale Sharks couldn't play after their COVID party the week before. And there's a few directors of rugby and club owners that are not happy with the decision just to postpone the game. And I think we find out, well, actually, by the time this comes out, they'll either not make the top 4 or the game will have already been played. But we'll have to wait and see. That's not good, though, when 16 people all come down with it at the same week. I just wonder whether they went to the same party that Racing 92 went to as well. Because they've had a number. So, Lawrence, what's been going on over in Kenya?
Actually, just a quick update on the league resumption is that it's probably, as you all know, the rugby league.
Keep going.
Sorry. Okay, let me start.
It's because you had that little message that says we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So when's your league coming back then?
Okay, so it's still on hold, but now the top tier league will not be played further because there is no justification of it, or rather the winner is not going to get something good out of it. So it's only the tier 3 games which will go on from the playoff stage. And also have some good news from South Africa.
Now don't come around me with boxes.
That Sam's about to get bombed again. Aren't you, Sam? She coming to say hello, Sam?
Oh, no, we shouldn't say hello.
She won't say hello.
No, she won't.
Bang that teaspoon down on the desk really hard.
I've got the hammer just in case.
Now, we don't condone domestic violence, dear viewers.
Maybe you said anything about any bashing going on, just saying I've got a hammer.
That's what he uses to fix a computer when the internet goes down.
And the screwdriver.
Trying to get him to turn the computer on using the on button is going to be a challenge, Julian. Sam, what's the latest over there with you? Because you've had some pretty rough times with the cases and the infection rates, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was for about a week last week. It was about 20 cases, 20 odd a day, and then suddenly just fired back up to 60s and well into 60s for the last 3-4 days. The schools partially went back a week ago, and now we've got cases coming out of schools. It's rife in the old folks' homes. So, you know, as I said, we had 9 deaths in the first wave, and now we're up to 39, you know, from August. So, you know, 30 deaths in, you know, a couple of months. In regards to rugby, it's still the same situation. The clubs voted to stay, to continue doing their touch rugby within their clubs only. There'll be another meeting in a week or two because we're basically assessing it every fortnight. And take it from there, really. We're looking forward to obviously getting into stage 3, which then becomes like a 5v5 thing where, you know, we can start getting some of the new refs down. We did the L1 course on the online Zoom thing that we did, and just, you know, get them on the pitch basically. Do you know what I mean? And start coaching them a little bit. And like what Julian said, you know, I don't think there's enough emphasis goes into the importance of how big a coaching role is for a referee and how much they appreciate and actually need it. Because, you know, we're all refs are you know, a bit stubborn, aren't we? And all think we've just had an absolute fantastic game, and you know, we're all freaking best refs in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I am.
What was that, mate?
Well, I am, but not you.
Well, yeah, but at least I don't have to wear shoulder pads if I can get away with it, though, do I?
Gotta make these little things look bigger, man.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, we're looking forward to obviously getting back, but, you know, we've got to be safe and we've got to keep doing what we keep doing. But let's hopefully, you know, the numbers start going down as summer's now tailed off. I mean, we're back down to the sort of mid-25s, 26 degrees. In fact, we've actually got a storm right now, clearing the air. So, you know, hopefully with the tourism starts to go down a little bit, then things might start getting a little bit better. But we know it's not just tourism; it's rife because it's in Malta and it's a close community. You know, there's not much space in Malta; it's a rock. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I suppose there's that. No, it's not like you to skip over controversy. You must have some opinions on the rugby that's gone on the last couple of weeks, right?
Oh, what are you talking about? Are you talking about sale, or are you talking about, you know?
You've always got something to say, and there's always something that's upset you every week that you have to get off your chest.
Well, you know, I mean, let's be honest. It's not exactly that if they did go out, allegedly go out partying and all the rest of it after the games and whatnot. I mean, it's not exactly the most sensible bloody thing to do. And you wonder then how much of a bubble are these players and groups and team staff and all that actually being kept in, and what control measures they've actually got in place, and who's actually keep doing the checks, you know, to make sure that people are still being safe. Here's, I mean, like, I'm getting questioned all the time here. How come we can't get together and start doing some rugby? Well, we're not pro. You know, these guys do it for a living. That's their job. You know, and they're being protected for their families and for themselves. We're not. It's that simple. You know, we don't have the finance or the money to even go out and get tests. I mean, never mind, you know, anything else. So I think it's if they did go out partying, I think it was you know, a bit silly and, you know, a bit naive of the situation. We don't know the ins and outs of everything. So the news is news, isn't it? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I think everybody likes to speculate at the moment as well. But what I had heard is that they stayed on at their Carrington training centre. Whether anybody that wasn't part of their bubble came in, I don't know. In fact, all I'm doing is repeating what I've heard. So all this is with a great big allegedly splattered all over the top of the screen. There is an investigation underway. We will see what happens. But have you found
one thing?
Oh, here we go.
One thing that's no frickin' alleged, right, is Owen frickin' Farrell getting 5 weeks. Shocker! Still pissed about that.
Yeah, I forgot you haven't been on for a couple of weeks, have you? So you've missed all the Owen slagging. So carry on.
No, I was there. I was there for one of them. I was there for the tail end one. But, you know, and then I had a chat with Jules about it, and Jules came out with some fucking knowledgeable stuff, actually, which was quite surprising because he's usually full of shit. But
thank you.
So Owen Farrell, 5 weeks, fucking absolute disgraceful. I think it's just bang it in order. But Jules, you're going to tell us why you got 5 weeks, aren't you?
Well, who do you think's the first person to go and talk to the disciplinary people straight after that match? It'll be the club lawyers, won't it? They'll be straight in there.
Nah, I disagree with you. I don't think it was the club lawyers at all. I think it was his mommy. I think it was his mummy, and I think it was his freaking coach for England.
Yeah, the lawyers would have been straight in there like a shot, saying, "Don't say this, don't say this, do say this, do say this."
Well, I mean, don't forget, you know, even the charity that he works for went in. So they were going for the sympathy card, without a doubt, to try and speak up for him. Well, look, the one thing that I hope comes out of all of this is that
then how to tackle properly,
and he learns. And perhaps if you're a coach at Saracens, I think one of the things you need to do is go back to those little techniques that we used to use when they were on their knees and had to tackle the walking player, so he knows where the legs are.
Eye to thigh.
Aye, absolutely. But
this cheek to that one.
Both arms, you freaking idiot! Both arms.
Shocking. Sam.
Yes.
What's happening with and Julian? What's happening with the standard of rugby across the Pro 14?
Sorry, the what of rugby?
The standard, the quality.
No, I got what you said. I was taking the piss.
Oh, right. I just thought it was your dodgy internet. It has been fucking awful, hasn't it?
It's been fucking terrible, to be honest. I don't know, to be honest. And the Welsh teams have been bloody terrible for the last couple of years. And I've been watching some Welsh Premiership stuff, and these are the feeder teams into the Welsh.
Yeah, like regions, yeah.
And it's just crash ball rugby all the time. They're just running into contact all the time. It just pisses me off because they seem to have forgotten in Wales that it's not a contact sport. It's an avoidance of contact sport. It's just constant smash ball, ruck, crash ball, and eventually somebody will miss a tackle, and then they'll have a break. And it's just, why does nobody run at gaps anymore, or try and offload in a tackle?
It was interesting. I did a show with Bill Beaumont actually last week for the Rugby Foundation. And one of the things he was saying is, imagine the chairman of rugby coming on this shit.
I mean, honestly, it's who you know, isn't it? It's
well, mate, the first thing he did when he came on which took the piss out of me refereeing and how he always likes to tell me where I'm going wrong. But in a positive way, of course, he says.
Quite right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
And you?
Is Lauren still with us?
Yeah.
There you go, he's alive.
Yes.
He's alive.
I am.
It's like Tinder, mate. You have to swipe right.
Well, that's why you keep getting the wrong girls, mate, because I swipe left.
Wait till you want to come and stay here. I'll tell Claire that. You'll be in trouble. But no, we were talking. He said the 60th minute, the 70th minute, the 78th minute, it's just like the first part of the game now, because there are so many replacements that, as you say, everybody can just keep doing the same thing, keep crashing off. There's very little fatigue gets into the game anymore. And I know at the top level, these guys are professional athletes, don't get me wrong. But, I think we do have to look at, it's a balance, I think, with player safety and welfare as well. But if they are gaining fatigue, that's when those gaps open, and that's when we can change our
Aren't they
game.
Aren't they trialing in some places, reducing the number of subs right now? I can't remember where they're doing it right now. It might be Australia or... I know they brought in the 22 dropout law there for the Super Rugby.
So what do you think of that? Now we've watched a bit of it, this goal line dropout.
I actually don't get me wrong, I like league as well, so I quite like watching league. So I actually think it's actually yeah, I know, but it's opened it up a little bit. It's a lot more running now in those games. Don't get me wrong, the quality hasn't been.
There you go. Listen, I told you Zoom had gone funny this week because I've just tried to pin you on the screen so that I could reach over and get my fill my drink up, and then I realised actually there's both of us on the screen right now. You won't know this until the edit comes out. And that's why you saw my arm going across there, dear viewers. But yeah,
professionalism out the window, like honestly.
Mate, if this was professional, I'd be in the proper studio instead of in my studio in the back of the house. I'd have a green screen, and I'd have a producer sat there so that I don't have to do all of this and read what's on here and look at this and type on here at the same time.
It's a good job that door behind you is closed, I'll tell you, because your ironing pile would fall out the door.
I have to turn it just here because if I go that way anymore and somebody wants to come and get a drink, then the lights ping on in the kitchen. You'll see Will walking around in these boxer shorts or something. Trust me, you really don't want to do that. No, we were talking about fatigue and things. Hey, look at that.
We can play around with this.
See, you can't do that on my phone.
That's the good thing about on a computer.
The shoulder pads made it all the way to freaking San Francisco as well.
I'll tell you what, have you got one of the Sydney Opera House? Because those shoulders are just the same angle.
I tell you what, mate. Before anything happens, before I die, I'm going to go on a Lions tour, World Cup, and in as many Six Nations matches as I can because it's ridiculous that I don't do this.
Yeah, what I can do that is switch to a different camera and put that on my head.
Yeah.
On that note, we were talking about the goal line dropout. And this, if you don't know, is if the attacking ball is held up over the goal line rather than it being an attacking 5-metre scrum.
Instead of attacking scrum, you get a drop kick from the goal line.
So your thoughts on that then, Julian? You quite like it?
I quite like it. From what I've seen of it so far, it's really got the ball back in play a hell of a lot quicker, and it's been a lot more running rugby in the game because of it. Because it's just they've kicked it straight off a lot of the time, gone quickly quite a few times, and it's put the ball back into the opposition, and then they're running straight at a defence. So they're going at high pace. There's large collisions. There's large tackles. They're breaking the game line with the hits because they're going at full pace. There's no slow ball straight to the backs going into collision from a short ball anymore. It's really opened it up a bit, I think. I didn't think I'd like it, to be honest.
No, I didn't either. Especially being an ex-front rower, I thought, no, you've got to have more scrums and more scrums. But it does create a problem, or a problem area, not necessarily a problem, but an area that we need to manage. And it's a time-consuming area because, of course, the attacking team just wants to get the penalty, wants a yellow card against the defence or something like that. And I think that you're right. It creates that massive space. So the attacking team are now retreating at a rate of knots. They're chasing the ball that's going backwards if the if the turnover team are any good. And everybody's now closing at a rate of knots with somebody with the ball, and they've got to adjust their position to get into some sort of shape. I think it could be a good idea.
It's created a competition as well. Whereas you had the attacking team with a scrum on the 5 meter line, for the defensive team doing good work of holding them up, the defensive team don't really win anything from doing some good work there. By having that dropout, it still keeps that competition there. It gives the attacking team the ball because they've got into that position on the ground, and keeps that competition for the defense for doing a good job. I think it's the win-win there.
Yeah, I thought at first it was a way of not rewarding a good attack, but actually it's a way of rewarding good defence. If it was good attack, they'd have scored the try, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
So what about the 50-22 or 22-50 or whatever, 22-22, whatever that is?
Pain in the ass to bloody manage.
Yeah.
The referee.
Especially if you're a referee on your own, it's a community game. Yeah. That's good. I mean, it's bad enough at the moment. He was inside the 22. No, he was out. Oh, Lord.
If it was passed back or he's 1 foot over and 1 foot in and you haven't got any ARs to help you and no radios, you're basically just guessing.
You're winging it.
Yeah. Especially if you're not in the camera shot or with play because you're wearing the tag and you're too far behind, exactly, so you couldn't catch up. And it's when you get that ding-dong of kicks as well, isn't it?
Pick your mobile phone out of your pocket and check it on the internet. No, can't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people who will give you I've got it on my phone. I can prove it on my phone. It's always the try scorer's granny in the corner, isn't it?
Well, that's all. I just replied to them. I need to go and get my glasses then, and they're in the changing room. I don't think we can wait that long. Find a rugby ball, but I can't find a cricket ball.
Right. Well, listen. On that bombshell, we're going to take a very quick break, but we'll be back very soon. See you in a minute.
When you need clear and concise match official communication systems, look no further than the brand new AXIWE AT350.
Radios are always useful, they always help us, especially AXIWEs, where all 3 of us can be open at any time and can have open communication.
Available now from refcomsglobal.net. Investing profits into match official development worldwide.
I was going to ask Lawrence to bring us out of the break, but we'll still be here next week waiting for his internet. See, what we do is we tell a joke and then we wait 7 seconds because then we know Lawrence will giggle afterwards.
That sounds like a couple of ex-girlfriends I've got.
What, they have to wait 7 seconds?
Oh.
Welcome back to part 3 of this week's 22 Dropouts, when we're joined by our good mate Sammy and Lawrence, as well as Julian, who we learned during the break that does actually watch the show. So I'm impressed. He can come back again.
When Sam's on.
All right. Don't rub it in.
Only come in to watch Phil when he's on.
Phil. No, we haven't taken the piss out of Phil yet, have we?
Yeah, we're not allowed to say anything about Phil because where else we're going to get it, right? So I think we should just bash on and take the piss now.
Yeah. Now, have a look at this then.
Phil being a bit stupid, really? No.
Never happened.
No, not at all. So that's Billy the Kid then.
Yeah. Well, it's not quite Billy the Kid. It's Phil the COVID killer. I think that's how he thinks he's going to get rid of the disease over there. Is just shoot it. Because that works, obviously.
My eldest is a regular shooter. He regularly goes shooting. He's only 30.
Let's not go there.
No, he's actually he went away at the weekend. He was up at Mount Rushmore, and I swear when he sent us that photo, there was an extra face in the rock, and it must have been him as well. He gets everywhere.
Yeah, he's got people etching away at that stone, like, in Mount Rushmore, where he's getting it all. I'm not sure they're going to get his nose right though, because he's got a big ass nose, isn't he? So, it's huge. Like, have you seen the size of his honker?
Because of that, there's no adverts for Diet Pepsi today either. What's Pepsi Cola going to do?
I know, no, that's our sponsorship, Screwed. We haven't kept up to our contract.
I know. Although there was Cola Wars on the other show with Phil and Bill, because Bill turned up with a can of Coke
Yeah.
So he's trying to hide his can of Coke because he can't be associated with the brands. And Phil's going like this with his can of Diet Coke. Fucking ace it was. Anyway, what else was I going to say? Daryl, son, mate. Daryl, who comes on this show, we love you. We do love you. We love you to bits.
Top man.
I have to say,
Everyone in Sweden is
listen, we have all done this, haven't we? But perhaps not on live TV. Just have a look at this.
Have we had it paused on the landing?
Not yet. All we've seen is the same replay.
Well, Daryl. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I do that every day walking past the supermarket at least 6 times. Phil says he does.
You do that every time you're walking past any window.
So, any of us who hasn't done it, when a young lady walks into the room, we've all sucked it in a little bit, haven't we?
Oh, of course.
It's never live on TV.
No.
Can you just do that again for us? Because I just want to see what happens to those shoulder bits here when you try and suck it in.
We want to just suck it in, and on the shoulder.
God, it actually filled the shirt. Bloody hell.
When I stand up, it does fill it.
Are you tired then there, Lawrence?
Say that again, Mike.
Is it nearly belly button time? Oh dear, tired already. It's not like you're a couple of hours ahead of us or anything, is it?
Yeah,
I know. Shocking.
No, we're so much ahead of you.
Great.
Fantastic bombshell. Well done, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, it's now time for this week's rumour mill. Now, Sam's looking a bit worried because I don't think he's got anything prepared. So what happens, Julian, is if you can't find a rumour on this show, as happens to me all the time, is people start to tell mean stories about you. So I'm going to leave you just for a moment while we go over to Kenya, because one of the things that Lawrence came up with, one of his rumours a little while ago, is about to come true. Who'd have thunk it? We got something right. So, Lawrence, tell us all about it.
Yeah, actually, it was a move that South African teams are going to join the expanded Pro 14 now to be called Pro 16. So it's actually for South African teams that they are likely to go on and participate in that league. So it could be a good blend between the Northern Hemisphere rugby and Southern Hemisphere rugby. And also, I think it brings some level of competition because South African are the reigning World Cup champions.
No, it doesn't. As we've already discussed on this show tonight, going and playing the Scottish and the Welsh is not going to bring any level of competition at the moment. Just not. It's going to be 115-0 against Dragons.
Travelling after
the Scottish.
You're going to get thrashed by the top South African teams. It's not going to be very appealing to watch either. And how are the fans going to go? You're not going to get any away fans at any of the games. Where's the banter going to happen in the stands? And who the hell wants to go to Rodney Parade from South Africa?
Yeah, but just think of the gate receipts from it and the tourism for everybody going to South Africa for a weekend.
Yeah, for a weekend.
Yeah, well, it does make sense. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? A lot of the referees have said this before as well, that flying over east and west constantly, if you're flying 9 hours north and south instead of 9 hours east-west, at least your body's within an hour, or thereabouts. So you don't have that acclimatization to worry about.
Or half an hour, as we found out a week or two ago.
Half an hour in certain places, like Mumbai.
Aye.
And somewhere in Canada.
That one, by the way?
Canada.
And Adelaide.
Is that one? Half an hour?
Yeah.
Since
when? What is it? What's that all about? Weirdos. Anyway, now, Julian has had time to think of some way to embarrass Sam. So you went to Vegas with Sam, didn't you?
I did go to Vegas with Sam. Now, you go to Vegas and you think you're going to go over there and have a bit of fun. Sam bloody turned up with a woman with him.
Oh! And not one you've had on tour.
To the Grand Canyon and all sorts of crap like that.
What can I say? It wasn't just a rugby trip. It was a holiday as well.
Yeah, that's no excuse.
I know, shocking.
What goes on in Vegas, Sam, does not stay in Vegas. Stay on Facebook, as all your holiday photos went up there. What goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas, mate.
Yeah, there wasn't. To be fair, there wasn't many rugby pictures.
Not sure we want to go there, Sam.
Driving trips, and there were a few of you in the stands, mate. There were a few in the stands.
There was. I've got to say honestly, it was a lovely experience, and I would have went back, and I was asked to go back, but couldn't do the connection, because Vegas happens first. It's the weekend before Vancouver. So I was wanting to do Vegas and Vancouver the following year, but it was the flight back. Coming back, the price was just ridiculous. You know,
yeah, we didn't.
The internal flight was nothing. It's like £80 or something like that. You know what I mean? It was nothing at all. But to actually do the round trip, it was just absolutely astronomical cost to be able to do it. It was just wasn't doable. You know, we'd have loved to went back, but then they changed it to where did they change it to? LA. And then everybody says, well, that's it. We're not doing LA. We'll just go to Vancouver. And what happens? You get more fans at Vancouver, and that's what happened. The stadium in Vancouver was absolutely chock-a-block that year.
That's because they have to get in out of the rain and the cold.
You know what, mate? Honestly, I'm not being funny. I've been twice now, and it's never rained at all when I've been there. It's freezing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen the photos of you wrapped up with scarves and hats on.
Yeah, it's freezing, but it didn't rain.
It's not that cold, Sam. Trust me, it can't be that cold. I ran my first ever level 1 World Rugby referee course. We had to wait for the pitch to warm up to -15 before we could go out and use it.
Oh,
the will probably. You don't have that trouble, do you, Lawrence?
Never.
You don't have that much snow on your pitch.
Yeah, at times you have snow.
On the pitch.
Of course. Where else can you get snow, Mike?
Okay, thanks.
You know how they're going to make.
Stop it.
You know how they're going to make this Pro 14 a Pro 16? What Lawrence was saying,
12 right now, for God's sake, and they just won't change the name. They just can't count.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe somebody's already registered Pro 14 Limited or Pro 16 Limited.
Do you reckon South Africa will actually join the Six Nations then?
No.
No. Tell you what, mate.
I reckon you could see a difference.
It's in the pipeline. It's coming.
Could be.
I see more likely it'll be Georgia coming up.
Well, I tell you what, they could. You could kick Italy out and get South Africa in and keep it as the Six Nations.
But they won't kick it. They won't kick Italy out.
You get better rugby if you did. Mind you could get rid of the sweaties as well.
You'd probably be better off getting rid of the sweaties and keeping Italy.
At least they're more entertaining.
At least we get some sun when we go to the games.
Yeah, I know. I went to one in Italy. It was that weekend where they called off the France game because of the snow, and they had to sweep and dig the pitch out in Rome before they could play. It was bloody freezing.
No, I've only been to the Six Nations in Italy when it first happened in 2000, and my local pub organised a bus trip from Penturk Rugby Club, or from the King's Arms in Penturk, my old village where I used to live, all the way. We were 28 hours on a bus. We filled it full of beer and drinks. We were absolutely hammered the whole way there and the whole way back. It was carnage, absolute carnage.
I'm not seeing the problem with this at the moment. I'm really not.
29 guys went there, 28 came back. One of the guys was so old, he had a bit of a heart murmur from drinking too much and had to stay an extra 3 days for his health.
Yeah, and the one that didn't come back was the bus driver.
Club captain usually, isn't it?
I'll tell you, that's a trip that I will always remember because we ran into just to show the hospitality and how friendly rugby fans are around the world. We ran into 2 young Welsh lads who were crying their eyeballs out on the street walking up to the ground, and they'd both been pickpocketed. So they'd had their money nicked, they'd had their credit cards nicked, and worst of all, they'd had their tickets nicked. Now, Welsh Rugby Union had given the bus company, we'd gone down with 2 extra tickets, so we gave them to these 2 young lads. So they could
That's brilliant.
So we've got to stick together, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great place to leave tonight's show. It's not been full of the usual mucking about, which I'm strangely glad about. And we did actually talk a little bit of rugby, I think, if I cast my mind back. You never know, it might happen again. You never know, it might not either. But we'll be back next week. So from me, from Sam, from Lawrence, and from our guest tonight, Julian, it's good night and stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Have a good one.